And growing up, I had a really rough childhood. And before I knew it, I was a full-blown addict. I was hooked on pain medication, cocaine, and crack. And I was just miserable. I was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison. So I got out of jail and just decided that I couldn't live up to the expectations that the parole officers wanted me to do. That left me on the run. It left me with warrants in 3 different states. I was homeless and just lost. I was lost and broken. I ended up getting a girl pregnant. After I got her pregnant, she quickly realized the lifestyle that I lived. And so after my son was born, she told me that if I ever wanted to see my kid again, I would change my life. The next week, I show up to Crossroads Church. That day I took Pastor Jeff's challenge and responded to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I gave my life to Jesus. And so a few months passed, and God just kept tugging on my heart that I needed to turn myself in, that I needed to face the charges that I had. I had to face warrants in 3 states where I would eventually be shipped to Oregon to go do my 7 years in prison. Well, they gave me a court date, and it's the night before, and I remember just being broken, just absolutely just destroyed inside, knowing I wasn't gonna be able to see my son for at least another 7 years. And so I cried out to God. I said, God, if you're real, you'll get me out of jail tomorrow and I will live for you the rest of my life. I won't stop. I'll become a pastor, a youth pastor, a missionary, whatever it is you're calling me to. I'm in. The next morning when I wake up, the attorney pulls me out of the jail cell and lets me know, so hey, the way that your court hearing is gonna go today is you're gonna go before the judge, and all that's gonna happen is you're gonna pick out what program you want while you're in prison. So he shackles me up. They walk me into the courtroom, and I'll never forget that day when I walked into the courtroom, just the weight that I felt of, this is the result of my sin. This is the result of my decisions. I'm about to have to do 7 years in prison and never see my kid until he's, a teenager. So the judge walks in, we all stand up. He sits in his spot, we all sit down. The DA goes to stand up. He looks at her, he puts his hand out and he says, 1 second. He looks at me, he says, young man, do you have anything to say for yourself? I stood up. I told that judge, I said, Your Honor, I'm a drug addict and I'm an alcoholic and I've ruined my life. That's all I said. I sat back down. Well, the DA goes to stand up to continue on with the court proceedings. He puts his hand out and he has her sit back down. He looks at me and he says, young man, I've never done this in my entire career, but I'm letting you out of jail today. He said, every probation violation that we have against you, we're dropping it. I'll never forget, he grabbed a manila envelope about 1 inch thick and he threw it in the trash can next to the judge's chambers. And he let me out of jail that day. The DA storms out of the courtroom. My attorney is blown away. He can't believe that just happened. He looks at me while I'm sitting there and he says, son, I've never seen anything like this my entire career. And I was supposed to spend 5 years in Oregon on parole. About 9 months into my parole, my probation officer pulls me in and has me sit down. He's got my binder in front of me. And the binder's got all of the charges of my past. It's got everything that I've been convicted of. And he looked at me and he says, Matt, man, when I read this binder and I see all of the charges you have, he says, that's not who I see sitting in front of me. He says, you're a different person. Dude, we're letting you off parole today. Go back home, go see your kid. After my parole officer let me off parole, I moved back down to Louisiana, where I was able to be in my kid's life. I started serving at Crossroads, where I eventually got hired. And just years later, I'm now a pastor on staff. I met my wife. We have 3 amazing kids, and it's all because of God's grace. And I'm so thankful to be where I'm at today. When I think back on that day, there I was sentenced to 7 years in prison and 5 years of parole. I shouldn't even be in Louisiana right now. I should still be in Oregon finishing out my sentence. But because of the grace of God, God has not only redeemed the time, but God has restored my life. And I am where I am because of the grace of God.